Some background noise, but hopefully it's okay. So let us do our video for today. Different location. So on socialworkerstoolbox.com, I was learning some interesting stuff about how emotions show up when different circumstances. So first of all, when we reflect on ourselves, awareness, insight, acceptance, pride, self-compassion. When we feel hurt, grief, sadness, despair, emptiness, hopelessness. When we feel overwhelmed, anxiety, worry, stress, panic, confusion, overload. When we feel unsafe and uncertain, fear, dread, unease, vulnerability, hesitation, insecurity. This past week I had a lot of, hurt and overwhelm, combined with some of the future ones I'll share, combined with acceptance and good, and when life feels good, and it was very hard to process all of it, but I've been doing so. Okay, when we compare ourselves, emotions show up: jealousy, envy, inadequacy, self-doubt, bitterness, resentment. When we feel we're not enough, shame, guilt, regret, embarrassment, self-blame, disappointment in the self. When we want connection, belonging, trust, closeness, affection, warmth, and acceptance. When we're treated unfairly, anger, frustration, annoyance, injustice, resentment, and defensiveness. When things don't go according to plan, there could be impatience, frustration, resignation, disappointment, discouragement, helplessness. When life feels good, we feel joy, happiness, calm, contentment, gratitude, and ease. When we feel open and engaged, interest, curiosity, hope, excitement, motivation, and inspiration. Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg teaches that the essential core of all is good, which means even though God created the world, so I'm saying even when we have difficult emotions, we got to remember that even though God created the world, whereby after many levels of descent of His light, there are manifestations of appearing not good that we have to rectify. Nonetheless, it's all deriving and coming from the good. We have to have faith not just in Him and in all Jews and in all humanity, but in all creation, that all was created in goodness and kindness because it's all good. We can establish an I-thou relationship and thereby positively influence everything and also receive positive feedback from everything. Now, I felt part of the challenges I felt this past week were when I was involved with somebody who's using substances and workaholic and just really chasing dysregulated nervous system, and I was very close bonding with this person, and so I found this on Instagram. My ex is a narcissist, and I made it out. So it's MYEXIS, an idea that when you're dealing with somebody who's a narcissist, whether because they're on drugs or some kind of addiction or escapism, or they're in trauma because this person, they just left a war or whatever kind of trauma, a person could be what's called in secondary narcissism, where they're not originally a narcissist, but they're so cut off from their humanity and their feelingness that they're so dissociated, and they will manipulate and they'll lie and they'll cause harm with their carelessness, and they just want to escape so badly. They don't want to relate to you and care and be responsible. So anyway, so this is what it says: when you seem promising to the disorder, in other words, you seem accommodating, lack of boundaries, wounded, people-pleasing, it tells the narcissist that they like you. The narcissist starts pursuing you. So they have a disorder. Okay, the Zohar says, why does one, and this is relevant to me because this person I actually know from 12 years ago or so. I felt very attached from the get-go, and over the years I've maintained that bond of feeling attached, and I never quite let it go. Even when I got involved with other people, I always felt deeply connected, and it would remind me of this person. I'd reach out every so often, and I wasn't welcomed, I found out, and I wasn't wanted. And so this person used me, but I also had an experience from it that probably was life-changing, and I'm still processing. And so during this connection, which went on, and then there was no willingness for more connection, I learned that I might have thought that this person was my future. Like, all my history made sense in light of, if I would be with this person, it would be like not quite the prize, but the person who matches. And it wasn't mutual. So I want to share this from the Zohar. Why does someone who has his wife's true match comes to marry her after he's married to her, have to die? So in other words, somebody marries somebody, it's not his true match, and then her true match comes to marry her, and the one who married her has to die. Why can't Hashem just separate them? So that it's good and kind for him to not have to see her under someone else's authority. So if her real mate is not of fitting deeds, even if she's his, this other one is not rejected. So in other words, if she's married to somebody and then somebody comes, her true mate is not fitting, he's not rejected, the other one. And I was thinking, this person, maybe the protection was that we are true soulmates, but he wasn't fitting. And so we couldn't be together. Maybe he couldn't see me, couldn't recognize me. And he'd have to die if I was married to him. Sorry, if I was married to somebody else, the other person would have had to die. And here, he blessed me that somebody else comes. He said my soulmate should come and fill the gap. A new soulmate. How to deal with difficult people without losing your cool. Because truthfully, this person is obviously somebody who I loved many qualities, and I thought life would be exciting with him, and I could be tagging along and trailing along, and his life seemed to feel more important than mine, and more meaningful, and more full, and more rich, and more like busy, and more productive, and more transformative, and more impactful. And my life seemed so empty and lonely, actually, and I just felt like his life, if I would join him, would be better than mine. I want to be a guest in his world, but he didn't want me as a guest, maybe because I would be a liability or a casualty. He wants to stay on the go. He lives off a backpack. He doesn't want it another way while he's on the go. Anyway, so this is found online. I don't have a source. So 1, don't react to every attack. There's strength in staying quiet. 2, their drama is not your burden. Protect your calm. You don't need to solve every problem or argument. 3, know your limits and speak up. Be polite but clear when something doesn't feel right for you. And I'm just pausing to say the reason I'm sharing this is because this person would have liked to manipulate me and use me as much as I was willing to allow, and convince himself that he wants to be with me, and told me many, many things about a future together and all the things that he wants to do and be with me. And immediately after, let's say he got what he wanted, let's call it that, he didn't want any of those things. Now, I had to have my boundaries. I knew I had to live in line with my values so that I wouldn't be used and manipulated to however far he would be willing to go if I was willing. So I was really saved, and if he had every intent to use me and I would have allowed it, I would have, it's like when they say you dodged a bullet, and it felt like a death energy, like in the end, like my nervous system was dysregulated for days, and I couldn't eat and couldn't sleep, and I'm coming off of it, but it's like that's how he lives, and lives in inner conflict, running, escaping because of these kind of decisions he's making, active addiction, and who knows what he would be like without that. And I wish for him to join 12 steps or get sober so he could actually enjoy the success and experiences of his life. And it felt like too much life. I wanted to receive the life from him, and the masculinity and intensity. I felt I was such a good vessel for it. It felt so like home and safe and fulfilling for me, what I was able to offer him, and how happy and safe and pleasured he felt with me. And we didn't have like sexual relations, but just in terms of bonding, and in many different ways. And so number 4, don't get pulled into the storm. If they're all over the place emotionally, stay calm and steady. 5, keep things simple and clear. Focus on facts, not feelings, to avoid pointless fights. 6, you're not their therapist. You don't have to figure out why they behave a certain way. Focus on what matters to you. 7, sometimes saying nothing is best, pausing or silence. 8, change the subject and walk away. If it's turning toxic, shift to something else or remove yourself. 9, be ready and stay calm. Notice their usual ways, plan your reaction, don't let them rattle you. And 10, share feelings with trusted friends and talk it out with people who support you to feel better. Now this person said he accepts any punishments that will come his way if he's going to be haunted or anything. He's very clear that he wants something different, so I don't know how he didn't feel he was betraying the other person that he never met but thinks will be his soulmate by not by doing what he did to pursue me as a means to an end. If he really loves her, I don't think he would have done that. So he's not well, and I can't ignore it, you know. I can't ignore that I'm not a, like, quote unquote, if he was looking for a one-night stand, I'm not a one-night stand. And he did tell me I'm a princess, but he also afterward told me that he likes completely different appearing type than me appearance. And he was very threatening. He's going to block me if I complain about him canceling our closure session that we were going to have together to talk about everything. He sounded like under the influence when I did speak to him about that. He wants to be allies. He feels he could solve problems for me and that I could go through doors that he can't go through. So he says people are not looking for my number, but everyone wants his number, so I should be grateful I have his number. And he was saying he has access to capital, hundreds, 7, 8 figure amounts for projects and things if I ever need assistance with anything life-threatening or critical, or someone in jail or the hospital, or any big mission that requires money. He wants to bring Mashiach together. I don't know if I have to manufacture a problem or if I want to open a retreat center. Maybe one day, maybe I'll have a different husband. There's a lot of responsibility if I get married to somebody who's not the right one for me, and this man is the right one for me, and he shapes up. Then does this one have to die? I don't believe that. I don't believe it's fair, because he had a chance to be with me, and he wanted to everything. He said he was only afraid of the unknown all this time. And after the fact, he was completely different. He told me, actually, intimacy is not in my top 10 or my top 20. He told me he wants power. He wants to work with governments and intelligence agencies and make money. He's doing all this for other people. It's not even for his own self-interest. It's self-interest because he wants to feel great. He thinks that a woman of a certain look would make him great. So I have to accept. I accept. That's all for now. Bye-bye.